Hello, and welcome to episode 5 of the Obsessive Viewer podcast. Today, we're going to discuss our memorable theater experiences and why we love movies. After much trial and error, we finally got some microphones working.
Seriously, it took an hour.
An hour. We've been sitting here for an hour.
Yes.
It was frustrating, but we're finally all ready to go and everything, and hopefully it sounds a lot better.
Yeah, and I feel like we're kind of hitting our groove now with this, at least. Hopefully, because we have... I mean, they're cheap microphones, but, I mean, they are microphones. We're not crowding around the MacBook or anything.
Yeah. And then Matt had some information about a contest we were going to do.
Yeah, by the way, I'm Matt. This is Tiny.
Hi.
So I wanted to announce our first contest or what have you. Basically, today we're going to be talking about our most memorable movie theater experiences, among other things. And I had the thought that if you're listening, and you have like an interesting story about a movie theater experience that you've had, go ahead and give us an email. Write it out and shoot us an email at ovpodcast@gmail.com. We'll select the best one. We'll read it on air, and we'll also plug whatever you want, like a blog or podcast of your own, or a movie or TV show that you want to get more recognition. We'll go ahead and give it a shout out for your troubles. And this is your chance to have your memory immortalized in podcast form. So
plus, it's a fancy way of saying we're lonely.
Yes, we set up this email address and no one's emailing us. So go ahead and do that. And all right, yeah, Tiny.
Alrighty. The way we usually kick things off is we talk about what we've been watching lately. And I tweeted about this a little bit, but I went and saw World War Z in the theater last week.
That's based on the book, right?
Not even a little bit. I'm not sure that they even knew there was a book. Ugh. I think someone just mentioned to them, and they were like, "Buy the rights," and then they just threw it all out the window.
Yeah, I've been sternly against that movie since I saw just even the first footage that came out. So I haven't seen it yet. So I take it that you didn't like it that much.
Not even a little. Yeah, I held out hope for it. I hoped that it was that they were going to pull it off. I love the director. I like Brad Pitt. I liked everyone involved with it, but they really dug their own grave when they decided to just do away with the novel. And that's exactly what they did, and you could tell. But I don't know. It's actually started really well. Like the opening, the first act, if you will, the introduction to everything was really cool. Like how they, the first parts of the whole zombie invasion was actually pretty cool, but then it just fell off from there. They overcomplicated it. It was I was just really let down.
That's a shame, because like I said at the beginning of the end of our first podcast that it's the best work of pretty much anything zombie related.
The book is
the book, and I mean it's just prime. Like it's just so well constructed that it suits itself well to an adaptation, and it's just a shame that it wasn't done justice at all.
Yeah, I was really disappointed. Yeah.
Let me ask you this without really spoiling it or anything. Battle of Yonkers.
Not even slightly depicted in the
Really?
book. Nope.
Oh, that's such a bummer.
But there's stuff in the movie that wasn't in the book, but it's nowhere near as cool as what was in there. No. And there's like a little snippet at the end where they're like, "Oh, hey, see this is some of the stuff that was in the book, but it's like a montage."
Are you serious?
Seriously, it's horrendous.
Oh, that is such a bummer.
Yeah, I was disappointed.
Yeah, obviously, I'm not heading to the theater for that one. What about TV shows? What have you been watching?
TV shows. I've just been kind of sticking to Oz lately.
Yeah.
I mentioned that in one of the former episodes,
nice.
One of the last episodes. And
how much farther are you in it?
I'm a little bit past halfway of season 4.
Nice. And how many seasons?
6 seasons.
Okay.
Total. Yeah.
It's not bad. You're making good progress.
Yeah. It's a great show. I'm really loving it.
That's great.
Yep.
Nice.
What about you?
Oh, well, I wanted to kind of change things up with mine because the movie that I watched is actually going to be referenced in the main discussion of the main topic, so I'll save that for later. But 2 things TV show related. Tiny, are you familiar with Sammy Terry?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, for everyone that's listening, I don't think he's like a big name or anything.
I don't think so.
No, he's a Indianapolis local kind of thing, where Sammy Terry was, I can't remember his name, I should have done more research, but Sammy Terry was a guy who basically, throughout the 70s and 80s, maybe?
Yeah, I think so.
He basically hosted this TV show on like a local Indianapolis channel where he'd be dressed up in some cheesy kind of makeup effects and everything, and he'd host like screenings of old horror movies, like old Dracula movies, and I can't Bela Lugosi. I've completely butchered that name.
Bela Lugosi.
Bela Lugosi. All of his movies and stuff, and it was just he passed away sadly a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And it just made me think that, I mean, his show was before my time, so I don't really remember ever seeing it, and I think my parents were more into it than I ever was. But it just made me realize that there's kind of a lack of cheesy horror movies on TV that are hosted like event shows like that, I guess.
Right.
And it's kind of a bummer because DVR and internet, all that, DVR, Netflix, all that, they've kind of killed that kind of programming.
Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate, really.
It really is, because every time I watch Halloween, the original Halloween, John Carpenter's Halloween, and they're watching the original The Thing, and they show the clips and everything, and they're basically like, they say like, okay, we'll be right back with The Thing, and it's kind of like this cheesy, kind of spooky kind of thing. Every time I see it, I think like, man, I wish I had that growing up. I wish I would have seen something like that, because I mean that would be just a lot of fun. And now, sadly, it's kind of dying.
Yeah, it'd be kind of a cool nostalgic theme if they kind of resurrected that style a little bit.
Yeah. So with deep remorse and sadness, we say goodbye to Sammy Terry. He was very entertaining to a lot of people. Sadly, I missed the boat on that, but hopefully, maybe someday someone will carry on his legacy.
Hopefully,
nice. And the second thing I wanted to say is, Tiny, have you heard anything about Community?
I heard that Dan Harmon's coming back.
He is
for the next season, so
yes,
that's exciting.
That's exciting. But do you want me to take the wind out of your sails?
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. Are you ready for this?
No, but go ahead.
Donald Glover is going to be back.
Okay.
But he's not going to be a series regular.
Oh.
He's going to slowly exit the series, as I heard it. He's only going to be in 5 episodes.
Oh, man.
Right?
How did I not hear about that?
It just happened a couple days ago, but
that sucks.
It really does. I guess he wants to concentrate more on Childish Gambino, which he's a very talented rapper.
Oh yeah, I love his music.
Yeah, but I mean, come on. I mean, Community's on its last leg. I mean, at least see it through to the end.
Yeah, that show is not going to be the same without Troy and Abed.
It really isn't. Yeah. It really isn't. What are they going to do? Like Troy and Dean in the morning? That's just weird. Or not Troy and Dean. Abed and Dean.
Yeah.
See, I'm just torn up. I'm still thinking of Troy.
That's too bad.
Yeah. So we'll see how it goes, but I'm not optimistic.
Yeah, me either. I don't know. That whole cast works together so well.
They really do.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they'll pull through without him, but we'll see.
Yeah. Well, I had reservations about the new season, even with Dan Harmon coming back, because I'm afraid that last season was just was irreparable damage done to it. But I mean, with this new development, I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of curious. Is anyone else going to jump ship?
Yeah, that's true.
Don't know.
Darn, if everybody's going to start, leaving the show, it's just not going to be the same at all.
Yeah.
Too bad.
Yeah, gives them more time to have more Chang storylines.
Oh, jeez. The last thing they need.
Yep. Changnesia was the worst thing that's ever happened to that series. And that's including Dan Harmon getting fired.
Jeez. Ken Jeong in general. Like I can't enjoy him anymore. In
Me
anything.
neither.
He's just too over the top.
He is, and it's a wasted talent because he was great in season 1.
Right.
And I guess in season, was it 3 that they tried to, that when he was the security guard, it kind of seemed like it was like they were like, okay, well, he needs to be more in an authoritative position again, like he was in season 1, so we'll make him a security guard. And in theory, it was a good idea, but in execution, it was just forgettable.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I don't even want to touch on what the hell happened last season. So.
Yeah, I tried to push it from my mind.
Yeah, like I've said it before, and I honestly have no memory if that storyline was, if the Changnesia storyline was resolved in any way, and that's indicative of it. If it was resolved, it wasn't memorable. If it wasn't resolved, I don't care enough to be mad about it. I'm just glad I didn't see it.
I agree.
Yeah. So it's a shame.
Yep, it's too bad.
Yeah. Did you want to move on?
Yeah, let's move on to our main topic.
All right.
Sure. Today we're basically kind of going to talk about some memorable theater experiences, and that kind of, as we were both thinking about that, it just kind of inspired us to think about really why we love movies in general. And
Yes.
it's probably a good thing to kind of get established just, towards the beginning of this whole podcast adventure, just so you guys can learn some stuff about us and how we feel about everything. So,
and I'd like to apologize for taking 5 episodes before we thought to tell you why we love the things that we love.
Yeah, that's a good point.
We basically alienated a bunch of listeners by telling them what we didn't like.
Right.
But that's my bad, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you for still listening.
Yeah. All right. Well, first on my list for memorable theater experiences, going to take a little journey back to 1994 when I saw The Lion King in the theater.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Classic Disney movie.
Oh, yes.
I think everyone in our generation pretty much loved that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But I think what made that specific experience special for me was that it was over the summer, and I was, at the time, I think I was only 7. Yeah, I was only 7 years old at the time, and so I had I went to a daycare over the summer, and so it was actually a field trip as part of my daycare. The whole class.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, the whole class went and saw a movie in the theater.
Nice.
It was really cool. Because I hated my daycare and I didn't want to be there, and so it was nice to get out of there and have a fun experience. And
that's awesome.
And it was cool. We all got our own little things of popcorn, and
Nice.
a bunch of kids around me didn't eat it, so I ate theirs. It was just funny. I don't know.
That's awesome.
Just a really great experience for me.
Nice.
And the movie's great.
Oh yeah, so. I'm really jealous that you saw it in the theater because I didn't see it in the theater.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I remember. I think the first time I saw it was at a sleepover at a friend's house, and I think I ended up getting sick anyway, and had to call my mom to come get me. But I love the movie, and just the stampede scene just haunted me.
Yeah.
That was dark for a Disney movie. And it freaked me out a lot, and it was just, it's a great movie. It's a classic.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah. First on my list, I just want to run through a few titles real quick, just as memorable, my earliest theater experiences, if you will. Basically, the earliest movie theater experience that I can think of, that I can remember, is I was way too young for these movies to even process them at all. But I remember my dad took me to a double feature at the drive-in, if you guys remember those, of both of the Bill and Ted movies.
Awesome.
Yeah. And I like to think that on some subconscious level that's where my love of time travel kind of originated.
Nice.
But yeah, and I don't remember hardly anything about them. I just remember, I think I was kind of scared of some of the effects and everything in it, but it was still memorable enough for me to remember it 20 years later.
Nice.
And then a couple other ones, just early memories, was I saw these two movies very close together, and you can there's an interesting juxtaposition between the two movies in terms of quality. But the first one is Super Mario Brothers, if you remember that classic.
Wow.
I remember seeing that in the theater, and then I remember a few weeks later, this little movie came out called Jurassic Park.
Oh my gosh.
Is that what it's called?
I think so.
Yeah. Jurassic Park came out, and I remember like my mom reading about it on in the newspaper and being like, "Oh yeah, people are fainting and all that," because anytime there's a big movie, even back in the 90s, they were like, "Oh, people faint, so go give us your money." But so there was like a hype built up around it, and so I remember that my mom was taking us somewhere. Like she was like, "Oh, we're going for a surprise," and then I just remembered like because when I saw Super Mario Brothers, it was a neighbor took us, some friends' parents took us, and I remember while we were on our way to Jurassic Park, I kind of remembered the route. Like I was like, "This is the same route we took to see Super Mario. We're going to go see a movie," and it was like this rush that was like, "Oh my god, we're going to go see a movie! It's amazing! This is a fun time," because we don't really, I don't know, like I think it was like right at a time where I was just getting old enough to where I could really process movies and all that. And it was just it was exciting. I love the movie.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. What's next on your list, Tiny?
Next on my list is it's just a year after the other one in 1995, a little movie called Apollo 13.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. That, I think, kind of back to what you said, I think that movie kind of got me into movies, sort of.
Nice.
Just that, I think that the experience.
That's awesome.
And I don't know, it wasn't really anything that special. It was just, that movie came out like 4th of July weekend, I think.
Okay.
And I think my family and I saw it on the 4th of July.
Oh,
and, you know, it was like a really cool, it was a patriotic moment in our history, sort of, you know.
Right.
There's a lot of history in that movie. They talk about, we've never lost a man in space and stuff like that. And I don't know, it was a really inspiring story, and it really had the full effect on me. And the crowd was really into it. You know, they laughed at the funny parts, but then they weren't loud during the other parts. And
nice.
I don't know, I think it was kind of the part where the movie side of my brain kind of turned on, I think.
That's great.
So,
would you say that also kind of, well, I mean, this is speaking a little for you, but would you say that was where your love of history kind of came into to play a little bit?
Maybe. I'm not sure about that. I don't know, because that may have been a little bit later that I got involved in history. And,
okay, I thought so.
Yeah.
What about your love of Tom Hanks?
I've always loved Tom Hanks.
Yes.
I think he's the guy who delivered me in the room when I was born, because he's just awesome.
Yeah, and he would do that because he's that kind of person.
Yeah.
He's just that awesome.
He really is great.
That's awesome. Now, what did you think about its sequel, Apollo 18?
Oh man, talk about a great movie. Jeez. Don't watch it if you haven't seen it. It is horrible. I
haven't seen it, just strictly based on Tiny's his review of it, because it was like I was on the fence about it anyway, but yeah, I'm not going to see it.
It's one of the worst movies I've seen, probably.
Jeez.
It was just awful. I can't even go into detail. Just the stupidest plot. I don't know who had the guts to actually pitch that piece of crap in a studio, in a meeting. It was just horrible.
Now, so. you know those found footage movies that are huge, right? What if we do one where it's in space?
Oh, geez. Yeah, the astronauts are carrying around cameras.
Yeah, there's not going to be any plot holes with that at all.
Yeah. Gosh.
Yeah.
Oh,
speaking of kind of, well, not really speaking of horrible movies, because these are all two out of these three that I'm about to reference are good. But I want to talk just briefly we're talking about memorable movie theater experiences. And I want to talk about three memorable experiences, but they're negative memories.
Wow.
Yeah. The first one is Munich. I love that movie.
Oh, it's a great movie.
It's a great movie. Spielberg. It's actually fascinating because Spielberg he filmed it and got it out within like a year, I think,
something like that.
Within like 6 months, he finished pretty much everything.
They edited the whole thing in like 2 months or something.
Yeah.
Like that.
Oh
which
yeah.
is
And
nuts.
it's just insane. Just his work is just amazing. But so I'm at the theater seeing this movie, and there's a family like 3 rows behind me with like had to be a 6-month-old baby.
Oh.
And I'm like, why would you take a 6-month-old baby to a movie where there's clearly going to be explosions?
Right.
all this stuff. So naturally, the baby started crying and going crazy. It was just kind of really taking me away from the movie, because I'm one of those people that I view a movie theater as a temple kind of thing. And
absolutely.
Yeah, it's so I mean, it's like a sanctuary for me. And if you disturb my experience, you're basically disturbing just my life.
I agree.
Yeah, and luckily, eventually, the grandmother of the family kind of took the baby out of the theater, not took her out like the people in Munich. But
that's not a short movie either.
It's not. It's over 2 hours.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah. But and all I was thinking was that this is a family. The family was a family of maybe 4 or 5 adults.
Yeah.
So I'm like, one of them couldn't have stayed home with the baby. Really? It's not like you're at a Pixar movie, or it's not like it's something that the baby can enjoy. But
yeah.
Anyway, moving on to the next one on the list of horrible theater. Well, this wasn't really a horrible theater experience. It was because of the content of it, because I'm not good with gore. But I saw Saw 3 in the theater. And I mean, it was I never saw the 4th through millionth one, because after the 3rd one, I was like, all right, I'm done. This is a good franchise. It was a good trilogy.
All right.
But what struck me about that theater experience, and you're going to notice a pattern with these stories. It was like me and my sister, and then like a group of 2 adults and 2 kids that they had to be between 5 and 7 years old.
Oh man!
And they sat like kind of toward the front row, and I'm like, you guys know this. This is the 3rd movie in the franchise, so you've got to know what it's about. And like I'm sitting there like watching as like these kids are getting scarred for life as they're drilling. They're basically performing brain surgery on the guy and showing everything. Like even I shielded my eyes from it. I'm not I'm a little ashamed to admit that. But yeah, and I was just like I wish that I could just talk to those kids like in like 10 years and be like, how's life going?
Wow, were they being like loud and annoying, or
no? They weren't. They were actually well behaved, because they were busy just in shock. Like I think they like they were turning away and kind of groaning and all that. But
oh man,
I was like, that's not an age appropriate movie. But I mean, I'm not telling you how to raise your kids, but
don't do that.
Don't do that. And then the 3rd one is Tiny. You were there for this. Inception.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yes.
Oh man.
We went to see Inception on opening weekend.
I think it was opening night. Actually.
It was opening night. It was
Friday. Yeah.
Yeah, and admittedly, we got to the theater a little late.
Yeah.
So we got a spot. Like it was like 3 rows.
2nd row, 3rd row.
2nd or 3rd row. I think it was the 3rd row.
Yeah.
And then it was a packed theater, and I was like, okay, make do with what it is. It's going to be fun to see this movie in a big group of people.
Right.
And so, but the problem came when a big group of, again, you're going to notice a pattern of they had to be between 13 and 15 years old.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. Like 4 or 5 kids.
Yeah, 4 or 5, I think.
Sat in the front row, which, I mean, they didn't have any other options.
Yeah.
The entire movie, they were snickering and giggling and, like, switching spots. And
yeah, and, like, showing each other stuff on their cell phones and stuff.
They'd get up and leave and come back and leave and come back. And then I'm just like... I was like at my wit's end, because Christopher Nolan is one of my favorite filmmakers.
Right.
And this was the first time seeing Inception. I was like, this has been hyped up for me so much. And luckily I didn't let it get to me that much, although I had just thoughts in my head like, I want to destroy these kids' lives. Like they've destroyed my 2.5 hours.
Yeah. And then, I don't know if you remember this, but at the end, like, they stood up and one of them was like, oh, thank God it's finally over.
Yeah.
I was like, you jerk. I mean, come on. Are you serious?
We're about to say another word.
I think I did when I was there.
Oh, yeah. I had, it was, like.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah, and it's a sad statement on, it's a sad indicator of the national attention span and how young age it's kind of getting lower.
Yeah, especially teenagers.
So if you're listening to this, and you're a kid, or if you're a person who talks or does any kind of anything except watching the movie. Don't do that.
Yeah, stop, please.
Yeah, like I saw Project X. I mean, that's a forgettable movie.
Yeah.
But I was in the theater by myself, which was amazing. Like, I loved that.
Nice.
But I still felt bad about tweeting and all that stuff because, I mean, I wasn't disturbing anyone because, I mean, it was just me. But
yeah,
I just needed to let people know that anyone who drinks from a pimp chalice is a douchebag.
Oh, automatically.
Yeah.
Especially if you're a white guy.
Yeah. So I needed people to know that. So.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, one that I actually just thought of, I didn't even put it down on my list. I just kind of remembered it was I saw the movie Smokin' Aces in the theater. And
I remember this, I think.
Yeah,
Go ahead. You didn't have this on your list?
I forgot about it until just now.
How did you forget about it?
I don't know. I'm tired.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, but basically what happened, I think I saw the movie during the day, like during the week.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was like a matinee, like, 1:32 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And so it was just me, like, kind of in the middle of the theater, and then a couple in, like, the back row. And so I was sitting in the aisle, and there was an aisle that went, like, right down the middle. And so I was sitting in kind of like the middle of the theater, and the other couple was in the back row. And about 10 or 15 minutes into the movie, I was sitting there, and I just saw this drink just go flying down the aisle, and I was just like, "What the heck?" And I turned around and looked back, and the girl of the couple was having a seizure, like very violently, like shaking, and like she like fell out of her chair and stuff. And I was like, do you want me to call an ambulance? And the guy was like, yeah, call an ambulance right now. And I was like, okay, geez. And thankfully the theater I was at is literally right next to a fire department.
Yeah.
Like, you can see it from the front of the building.
Mm-hmm.
And so they were there in like 30 seconds, and
That's great.
they came in there and took care of her and everything, but I missed like 10 minutes of the movie. That's the important part. I missed 10 minutes of the movie.
Didn't they give you like a free pass or something?
Yeah, they gave
like
me
that?
like three free passes, because I guess they thought, I'm basically a hero.
Right, yeah.
So, I deserve some free passes. So. And I guess the girl was fine, and she stopped seizing after a couple minutes, but and she was fine. I overheard her saying that she had, had a couple seizures. So I don't know, maybe she has some kind of condition, undiagnosed condition or something. But
right.
It was pretty memorable.
Yeah. I was gonna say that when you told me the story the first time, I just imagined you instead of like getting up and like reacting to it and everything, being like, "Come on, guys, come on, the movie's starting. Let's stop these shenanigans."
And I would have felt awful.
Yeah. Let's be cool, guys, okay?
Yeah.
And then another part of me thought that you were going to say that they were like making out like really heavily or something like that.
Yeah.
Which that would have just been awkward.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So if you're listening and you want some free passes to a movie theater, take a friend and
there you go. Yep. What's next on your list?
Well, the next on my list is actually Grindhouse.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I saw this movie. It was actually a really fun night because I was in Evansville visiting some friends, Mike and Pat and all them, who are listeners to the show. And so we went. It was a year after I'd last seen them, and we went down and we went to go see Grindhouse, and it was kind of funny because Pat's girlfriend at the time, like she had a real problem with gore, I guess. So I distinctly remember him telling her like, "Oh no, Grindhouse, it's a skateboarding movie." So she was pretty mad.
That's awesome.
So yeah, but no, it was great because seeing it in the theater. I mean, it was a 3-hour movie because it's the two movies and then in the trailer separated,
right?
Separating them, and it was just a really cool. Like I was enveloped in the cheesiness of the Grindhouse theater experience, and I mean because those kind of Grindhouse pictures, those were kind of before our time.
Oh yeah, definitely. And
it was kind of like a piece of film history that I just kind of missed out on, or that I would have to seek out in the most obscure places to find it. And I mean, I just don't have the energy for that. But it was really cool to see it like that, and the grainy effects of the films were just it was just a cool experience. I really liked it, and I mean I didn't even own because I really liked the movies themselves. And who doesn't want to see Thanksgiving and Don't as a double feature? Like I wish that Grindhouse was a bigger hit, because I would totally go see those two movies.
Yeah, me too.
Instead, we got Machete, which I've heard isn't that good. I haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, but I just really that was a really cool experience, and I didn't even buy the movies on Blu-ray or on DVD until I found the Blu-ray that was a double feature of it that was exactly like the theater experience.
Right.
And I was so happy when I got that like a year or two ago.
I think that was kind of the intention of Tarantino and Rodriguez, was to basically make it an experience as opposed to making like really, really good movies that they were real passionate about. They were basically just trying to give everyone a really cool theater experience.
Right.
That's what that was about, I think.
Yeah. And I think that I know Tarantino is like real big on kind of the obscure movies and stuff like that. And I think that came from him working in a video store, which as a small tangent, the internet and Netflix and all that, they were also kind of ruining. I kind of wish that video rental stores were kind of still big.
Right.
Because I mean, you can go and find an obscure movie or like just a movie you wouldn't think of on it. I mean, you can still get that with Netflix, but there's something different about something special about holding it in your hands and just kind of basing it off the cover.
Yeah, you don't have the personal experience anymore either, where you get a real seasoned guy who works in that video store,
right? And
he's just like, "Oh man, have you seen this movie yet that no one's heard about?" And you're like, "No," and then you watch it and it's amazing.
Yeah,
that's how I discovered the movie Boondock Saints.
Really?
With some guy,
that's
and
cool.
I had never heard of it. I didn't know anything about it, and the guy in the movie theater was like, "Look, dude, I know you probably hear this all the time, but rent this movie. It's awesome." And I was like, "All right, sure, why not?" Yeah. And it was, it's a great movie. I
love it. Oh yeah. Well, I will say that Netflix has, on the PS3, they have the Max feature now.
Oh, yeah. Is that where it'll find something for you?
Yeah, and it's kind of cheesy. And I mean, I don't know, it needs some work, because, I mean, like, I tried it, and it was like, what kind of movie are you in the mood for? And it gives you, like, the choice between three genres, and then you hit one, and it's basically like, oh, here's a movie that you can do from this genre. It's like, it doesn't mix and match. It's not, the algorithm isn't really that big.
That's too bad.
Yeah, so maybe with time, but I mean, there's just something about being in a video store and just kind of talking shop or whatever.
Right,
about
exactly.
Movies.
That's true. Yeah, that's exactly how it is.
Yeah. So what's next on your list, Tiny?
Next on my list is actually this was the first time I'd ever gone to a midnight showing.
Oh,
and
nice.
It was just.
I know this one.
Yeah, this was actually just last year. Me and Matt were there together. It was The Dark Knight Rises.
Yes.
At midnight.
It was kind of marred by the events in Colorado, obviously.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
But it was just. I think midnight showings have kind of really just. They've really found their rhythm over the last decade, maybe even less than that. And so, like, before like 2005 or so, I just never really heard about midnight screenings. It wasn't really a big deal, really.
Right.
And so I had never been to one before. But, just like everyone else who has a pulse, I was incredibly excited about The Dark Knight Rises.
Right.
So I was like, you know what, screw it, let's try and do it for this one. And me and Matt went with like 5 or 6 other friends, and we sat kind of in the front. They weren't bad seats. But
kind of off to the left.
Yeah, off to the left. And, we got there super early just because you had to get a seat.
Oh, yeah.
And there were just a bunch of people there. There were people wearing capes.
Yes.
It was just really...
That was so cool.
Yeah, and like it was really rowdy before the movie started. Like everybody was talking and real excited, and I was like, oh man, I hope this doesn't ruin the experience.
Right.
But once it started rolling, it was just silence.
Yeah.
Because everybody was so into it, and I
distinctly remember that.
Yeah, it was such a cool experience.
Yeah, it was like... It kind of speaks to the kind of feeling, like, this is one of the reasons why I love going to the movie theaters. Like, there's a sense of community with it. Like you're in a room, like, when you think about it, you're in a dark room with a bunch of strangers staring at a screen for 2 hours.
Yes.
Or 2.5 hours, or 2 hours and 45 minutes in the Dark Knight Rises. But it's one of those experiences where, like, everyone's watching the same thing. Everyone is having a different reaction to it. Everyone's having, like, a different experience rather than your own. And you kind of, especially with The Dark Knight Rises, everyone there was a huge fan.
Yeah.
Everyone was just excited, and then everyone was very quiet and respectful. And it was kind of like this undercurrent throughout the entire movie, where everyone was like, this is a special experience that we're going to remember for a long time.
Absolutely.
And it was just a really cool experience. I can't remember if that was my first midnight showing or not, but it was definitely a good one. And we eventually went to a midnight showing of like this was last October. We went to a midnight showing of VHS.
Yeah,
which I wasn't a fan of the movie, but it was still pretty cool because it was fun. Yeah, it was a fun time, and I won a poster that my nephew eventually puked on. Which, I mean, I think he's
a kid. He's like 1.5 years old. He's not like 19 or anything.
Right, yeah. But he kind of echoed my sentiments for the movie because I wasn't a huge fan.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah. Whose turn is it?
Your turn. What's up? What do you got next?
The Master.
Oh, The Master.
Yes.
I think I remember this one too.
Yes, this one, me and Tiny and our friend Greg, who was on the first episode of the podcast, we all went to see The Master. And we saw The Master at my favorite theater in Indianapolis.
Mine too.
Yes, Keystone Art Cinema and Indie Lounge off of Keystone?
Keystone of the Crossing.
Yeah, Keystone of the Crossing. It's a little like art theater that shows limited release movies and all this stuff. Most comfortable seats.
Yeah, they're really cool.
Of any theater.
They recline a little bit and everything.
Yeah,
it's cool.
The only theater that kind of competes in terms of comfort is the Toby Theater at the Indianapolis Museum of Art.
Right. But
I digress. But with The Master, we went to the Indie Lounge first because we got there like an hour early, and so we went to the Indie Lounge and had a few beers. Which that's another thing that I just love about it is you can go and have a beer and talk to the bartender. One of the bartenders was really cool, and like we talked to him about, like I asked him what he thought of Sleepwalk with Me. I remember that, but I think it was that time. But anyway, so like I'm pounding a few beers back, and then we go into the theater. I bring one into the theater, and then the movie starts, and the movie's pretty long.
Yeah, it is,
and it's like involving, and then all I feel is I have to go to the bathroom. So I like pounding those beers before the movie in theory was fun, but I missed out on pieces of the movie because I was in and out of the bathroom 3 times throughout the movie.
Oh man.
And it was just and I was
That's too bad.
Yeah, I was a little bit buzzed, but
yeah. So,
and I liked the movie. I liked what I saw of the movie, at least.
Mm-hmm. It was a dialogue-heavy movie.
It was.
It's P.T. Anderson, so it's... Yeah. I think I said it in the past episode. He does character studies, so... Right. It's about the characters, and there's just a lot of talking.
Yeah.
So...
But despite that, I still love the Keystone Art Theater... Keystone Art Cinema and Indie Lounge. Like, I've seen 127 Hours there. I went to a screening of Trance there, which was really fun.
Awesome.
We went to Pulp Fiction a couple weekends ago. Which was really cool, a midnight screening of that. Mm-hmm. I also saw Safety Not Guaranteed there. Love that movie. So it's that place has a special place in my heart.
It's a nice theater.
Yeah, it's very nice.
Yeah.
What's next on your list?
This is actually the last one on my list, and it's, again, something that Matt and I went to together. It's actually 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Yes.
It was the other theater that Matt mentioned. It's called the Toby Theater.
Yes, at the Indianapolis Museum of Art.
Yep, the Indianapolis that museum is actually like really well funded.
Mm-hmm.
They have a lot of diehard members that donate to it, and I mean, even if you're not a movie fan and you want to see some art, go there and check it out. There's some great stuff there. They have just tons, and they even have like tons of acres of like these really nice gardens. Apparently, I haven't been in them, but I've seen pictures, and apparently it's like really beautiful. So, but we just went to the theater that day. It was over the winter.
Yeah, they had the winter film series.
Right.
Yeah. Every winter and every summer they have a film series. Like the winter series is at the Toby Theater, and then the summer series is in the amphitheater, and. Right. And we haven't made it to any of them. I think they're over with now. But yeah. But anyway,
right. But yeah, we can both talk about this. But 2001 is such an enthralling movie. Mm-hmm. It's just one of those classic movies that you can watch several times, and your feelings about it change every time you watch it.
Every single viewing is a different viewing.
It really is,
and you can't say that about. You can't really say that about hardly any other movie.
Really, yeah. You really can't.
It's just a really great experience, and especially seeing it on a big screen was just like that was a dream of mine. Like that was on my bucket list, and it was just really cool. Even though it wasn't a 35 millimeter print, which I would have been ideal. They actually just projected the Blu-ray,
right? But
it was still just really cool.
Absolutely,
it was another thing where you're in a room, dark room with a bunch of people who are just admiring the same thing. And It was a really cool experience.
Right, and everyone who goes and sees 2001: A Space Odyssey at an indie theater on a Sunday afternoon is there on purpose.
Yeah,
there's not like anyone like, oh, this looks good, let's go see it.
Yeah, there's not going to be little bratty kids who are
right
running around and they're like, oh, thank God it's over.
Yep, and that was probably the 5th or 6th time I had seen the movie.
Yeah, me too.
And I had never connected with it before, like I had when I saw it that time. I thought it really affected my thought. I don't know. I guess maybe I hadn't watched it in 3 or 4 years, and I don't know. I guess my thoughts and opinions have changed since the last time I watched it, and I don't know. It really just affected me more than it ever had before. So
that's one of those movies where it's like, I mean, really any movie that you watch, for better or worse, the more you grow as a person, your opinion of the movie is going to change.
Exactly.
So it'll either become like a nostalgic thing if it's like a kid's movie, or you'll hate it if it's a kid's movie and you just see all the flaws in it. But the 2001, I mean, it's such a deep movie with such just unparalleled filmmaking. I mean, you watch it and you can't believe that it was made in 1968.
Yeah, really.
It's a masterpiece in every sense of the term. And as you grow as a person, the movie, it's going to sound corny and cliche, but the movie grows with you. And you, like I said, you have different theories and all that. Like, I think Kubrick said that if you come away from 2001: A Space Odyssey, if you leave the theater feeling like you know what's going on or know what's happening, then we failed. Because it was intentional that they raised more questions than they answered. And it's a very thought-provoking movie. And it's, it's incredible.
That's how Kubrick was. One of the points I always make about Kubrick is that I think as a filmmaker, what he achieved better than pretty much any director I can think of is he basically forces the audience to participate.
Yes.
You have to be part of the movie in order to experience it properly. You don't watch his movies, you experience them. That's how I feel about Kubrick. And
exactly.
And the prime example, in my opinion, is 2001.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, I was actually talking to my coworker, Tiny's part-time coworker, Mike, not my friend Mike, but my coworker Mike. Anyway, I was talking to him last night about Stanley Kubrick, and I was looking through his filmography, and I'm like, I'm gonna rewatch pretty much. I'm gonna go through his entire catalog at some point, because there's still a few I haven't seen.
Same here.
Yeah, and I haven't seen Clockwork Orange in years.
Right. Yeah, it's a good one.
So yeah. So that's the last one on your list.
That's the last one on mine. Okay. Yeah.
I have one more. It's kind of goofy. If for those that are just listening for the first time now or don't know, we are broadcasting from Speedway, Indiana.
Spark plugs.
Yes, go plugs. Home of the Indianapolis 500. And there's a shopping center there, and there used to be like a second or third run movie theater.
Mm-hmm. It had like 2 screens, maybe.
Yeah, 2 screens. $1. It was a $1 theater.
Awesome.
Back in the early to mid 90s, and I just remember having fond memories from that place. I mean, it was just a really, really gross kind of just really gross theater.
It was a great place to see a movie, though.
It was, and they one thing that I lament never experiencing this because I was too young or what have you, but they used to do midnight screenings of Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Awesome.
Yeah, every week they would do it.
Huh.
And people would get dressed up and do all that. So I really wish that I could have checked that out, because I still haven't seen Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
And I should have seen it then. But
yeah.
But I just have fond memories. Like, I remember seeing Liar Liar there, and I remember as the movie's starting, and they accidentally messed up. They accidentally mixed up the projections or something like that. So Anaconda started playing, and I was just like, "What? Why is a snake in Liar Liar? I don't get it."
Jim Carrey really looks like a snake. This is weird.
Yeah, this is weird. Is he lying now? I can't even understand what he's saying. I don't speak snake.
He's a really good liar.
Yeah. So it's just fun little memories like that. And I remember in like junior high, I remember walking there because it was like half a mile from my house.
Yeah.
All told. And I just remember walking there and seeing She's All That
Wow.
in the theater. And I mean, that's a fun little high school whatever movie. I actually just recently rewatched it, and it was amazing that it was funny to me that not another teen movie. I didn't realize how little they had to change the script because it's dead on. It's hilarious.
I've still never seen She's All That.
You're fired.
Yeah.
No, it's a fun movie.
Yeah.
Should we talk a little bit about like what exactly it is about movies that we love? Because I mean, we touched on it a little bit in this discussion already, but
right.
Like anything particular that pops out to you?
Yeah, actually, I've always had a pretty clear answer to that question because I've been a movie fan since I was a kid, really. Right. And I think that I'm drawn to film for the same reason that anyone is drawn to any kind of art form, and that it really just inspires me. Yeah. I'm not saying other art forms don't inspire me, but I don't know. For some reason, I always get the most emotion from films. Yeah.
I'm the same way.
Yeah. I don't know. I think films allow, at least for me personally, they allow me to have an experience, like I said. And whenever a film truly grabs me, I lose like the perception of my surroundings, and like it's kind of like if it's the right kind of movie, you can sort of fall into it. And the analogy I always use is it's like stepping off of a cliff, but you trust the filmmaker to bring you to a soft landing.
Yes, that's a good analogy. Yeah, that's a great analogy, actually.
Right, and what's also nice about movies is it doesn't matter where you are. You can be at home, you can be watching it on an iPad on an airplane, or you can be in a really nice old like Art Deco theater, and you can get the same emotions. It doesn't matter where you are. It's part of what I like about it.
Nice, that's cool. That's a good one. Like you bringing up like old antique theaters. I went to I went kind of toward like down a little bit in southern Indiana last weekend, and I passed through a town. I think it was Osgood, Indiana, and they have a theater there. It's called the Dam Theater, Dam with 2 M's. Okay, and it's just like it's like that kind of thing. It's like an antique, independently run theater, and I didn't get a chance to go in or anything because they didn't have. I wasn't passing through at the right time for it, but all I thought was like I wish like a dream of mine is to go on a cross country road trip where every stop would be a different independently run or antique movie theater. That'd be awesome. Yeah, where I would just go and I'd check out a movie. I'd get to know the owners, kind of get to know their history. And all that, so that's on my bucket list. And in preparation for this podcast, last night I watched The Majestic. Awesome. Yeah, Frank Darabont's lesser respected, I would say. Yeah, of his filmography, but it's a Valentine to movies, really. And it's a Jim Carrey drama where he plays a disgraced screenwriter who's been blacklisted, who happens to get in a car accident and have his memory wiped, amnesia. But he washes up on this town, and it's in like the 50s. And this town has been like, there's just so many kids from that town died in the war, in World War II. And he bears a striking resemblance to like one of the kids that died. So like he doesn't know any better, so he just assumes that he is this Luke Trimble or Luke character, something like that. Yeah, and it's just in like his Luke's dad owns this movie theater, the Majestic, and like he's like, yeah, we need to reopen the Majestic, and they do that, and it's amazing because opening night of the Majestic's reopening, it's you just see this line of the whole townspeople that you've gotten to know throughout the movie, and it's just a great indicator that the small town lost so much. And I mean, in addition to Luke returning or someone resembling Luke returning to the town, the theater also really helped heal them. And I think that's a great statement on. I just love the way that Darabont romanticized like the theater experience, because it's something that's dying. And there was actually a great scene with Martin Landau, where I think it was Martin Landau, yeah, where he makes just this impassioned speech about why they should reopen the Majestic.
Once this place was like a palace. Palace. That's why we call it a Majestic. Any man, woman, child could buy their ticket, walk right in. Here they'd be. Here we'd be. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Enjoy the show. And in they'd come, entering a palace like in a dream, like in heaven. Maybe you had worries and problems out there, but once you came through those doors, they didn't matter anymore. And you know why? Chaplin, that's why. And Keaton and Lloyd. Garbo, Gable, and Lombard, and Jimmy Stewart, Jimmy Cagney, Fred and Ginger. They were gods. And they lived up there. That was Olympus. Would you remember if I told you how lucky we felt just to be here? To have the privilege of watching them? I mean, this television thing, why would you want to stay home and watch a little box? Because it's convenient? Because you don't have to get dressed up? Because you can just sit there? I mean, how could you call that entertainment alone in your living room? Where's the other people? Where's the audience? Where's the magic? I'll tell you, in a place like this, the magic is all around you. The trick is to see it.
Right. It's a great testament to the art of film.
Yeah.
And it's in a really, really nice setting, like a post-war setting.
Yeah, small town, which he's Darabont's really great at creating.
Absolutely.
But to answer the question of the topic, why I love movies, there's many reasons. There's basically the obvious magic of movies. Like, a kid can go see a movie, and if the filmmakers do their job right, that movie becomes a permanent part of him.
Absolutely.
And that kid will grow to years later he'll revisit that movie, and he'll instantly feel like a kid again. And it's just that nostalgic feel that just gets permanently placed in him. And also, I mean, a kid can go to a movie and he can see like makeup effects, or he can see like an actor give a really great performance, and then that can inspire so much in someone.
Right.
And it's just, there's a power there that a lot of other things don't carry that much weight and that much importance in people's lives.
Right.
And it's just great. And like I said before, a movie theater is really a sacred place to me. And I mean, there isn't any other place where you can go and just literally be transported, maybe not literally, but figuratively.
I know what you meant.
Be transported to just another world and another reality. And it's escapism, and escapism can be a form of therapy.
Right.
And it's something that you don't get from other things.
Right. It can be cathartic that way.
Yes, it really can.
Yeah. And like back to your point, when I was thinking about this, why I love movies, it made me think of the summer and fall of like 2002, when I had this like borderline unhealthy obsession with the movie Fight Club.
Oh yes.
And like the movie was like 3 years old at that point.
You actually got me into Fight Club.
Is it?
Yeah, and that became like my favorite movie. You're like, you gotta see this movie, and like this was I think like when we like first met too.
I think so, yeah.
And I was like, this guy won't shut up about Fight Club.
Yep. But I just remember that like that summer and like part of that fall, like I don't know, I played football back then, and it just makes me think of back to like when we were in two-a-days. We would like my friends would come over to my house and we would watch that movie like between practices, and then like we'd be quoting it the whole time at school. And every time I see the movie, it makes me think of that time in my life. I don't know. It really. We just really connected with the movie, and it's not because we're crazy anarchists or anything, but just because I don't know. It was funny, and we just connected with it for some reason.
Yeah. And that's another prime example of a movie. At least for me, like I saw it around the same time you did because you turned me on to it. But going back and seeing it when you're older, I mean, it's just a different experience.
It is,
and you pick up on much more themes of the movie. Like you pick up on the more serious or more adult themes of it,
right?
And it's a rewarding movie.
And at the end of the day, I think part of why I love movies is that I love just connecting with characters. I think that's why on this podcast I talk so much about performances,
right?
Because that's what it's just pretty much the primary thing I focus on when I watch a film, just because I love connecting with characters. And there aren't that many other art forms where you can connect with characters, Books, obviously, but if you go see a painting, you can't really connect with that, with it that way.
Right.
And so,
I mean, Mona Lisa, she's a really great character. That smile's really good, but there's not really any development there.
Exactly. But it's just I don't know. When I watched The Godfather, Michael Corleone, he made me think about what I'd be willing to do for my family, or Christy Brown from My Left Foot.
Still haven't seen it.
Yes. Oh well, you suck.
Yeah, I know.
It's when I watched that, it made me feel like this guy did everything, and he has this horrible disease. It just made me feel like I could do anything. So
nice.
That's why I just love connecting with characters.
Yeah,
that's how I feel about it.
That's a good point, and I agree completely. Yeah,
right.
I mean,
and sometimes you just want to. Sometimes you want to throw on a movie and laugh, and sometimes you want to have your mind blown, and sometimes you want to watch Michael Bay cut the screen every 2 seconds.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm going to play devil's advocate here, but I mean, sometimes you can get some things out of Michael Bay that, that first Transformers movie, Sam Witwicky?
Yeah.
Is it a good call, Tiny? Is it?
It's a call.
Yeah. No, I mean, even Shia LaBeouf in that movie. I mean, it's if you've ever been an awkward teenager.
No.
Optimus,
Bumblebee. That's the whole movie. We just depicted the whole movie for you right there.
So if you've ever been a high school student with a mechanical car that can transform and everything, you can relate to that character.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, if you've ever been a socially awkward teenager, which I mean, I was and still am in some aspects.
You're still a teenager?
Well, in my heart,
dude. I've drank with you so many times.
You've contributed to the delinquency of a minor. No, but you can still pick out pieces of movies that on the surface don't really have much depth, and you can connect with them in ways that other people can't. And that's one of the more profound aspects of movies that is just really, really great. And I hate that I made this point out of a Transformers reference. But you see my point.
Right. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Awesome. It's impossible. In my opinion, I think you can watch a movie, it can be good, it can be bad, it can be amazing, but either way, you're going to feel something.
Yeah.
That's what I love about
it's going to evoke a response. I mean, for better or worse. And it's going to, if you watch it with a person, or if you have a person that you can connect with movies with, it will always inspire discussion, which is basically what this podcast is about.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, and to a lesser extent, like TV shows too. I mean, TV shows work. They're getting to the point where they are they're taking advantage of the long form storytelling with serialized television. I mean, it started with like 24 for the flashier kind of action stuff.
Right.
But I mean, like Lost did it like it was almost like a film in itself with the character development and all that. And I mean, Breaking Bad is another example of just a great long-running TV series that's a character study. And also The Wire we've talked about The Wire and how much depth there is to it. So TV shows making a break for it, but it's like what Martin Landau said in The Majestic, that it's just you can't replicate the feel of being in a theater with a bunch of strangers and experiencing a movie at home. Like you can't replicate that on a small screen.
Mm-hmm. It's a different experience.
It is, and that's why movies will always have just a special piece of my heart.
Same here.
Yeah.
Awesome.
All right. Well, I think that about wraps up our discussion. I think
so. Yeah.
As always, do you want to go ahead and say what you're looking forward to?
Yeah, I only have one thing that I'm really looking forward to. It's the movie Pacific Rim.
Oh, yes.
I'm kind of glad you talked about Transformers, because that's basically...
That makes one of you, one of the listeners.
So, it's kind of like what I was saying about why I love movies. Sometimes I just want to go to a movie and just escape for 90 minutes and think about something else and see some really crazy stuff, and that's basically what Pacific Rim looks like. And
Right.
I mean, say what you will about the trailer and everything, but if you remember that it's directed by Guillermo del Toro,
Yes.
he's pretty visionary in my opinion.
Oh, yes. And the cast is incredible.
Yeah, it really is.
I mean, Charlie Day, Charlie Hunnam, Ron
Right.
Perlman.
Idris Elba.
Idris Elba, yeah.
All kinds of people are in it.
Which Idris Elba, I think, would be amazing as Bond.
Oh, wow.
It would be like just throwing that out there. Like if Christopher Nolan made a Bond movie and cast Idris Elba, I would freak out.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I can totally see that.
Oh yeah.
Especially like a, modern Bond movie.
Oh yeah.
I can see that.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to Pacific Rim. We'll see. I think Guillermo del Toro is really good about getting as much as he possibly can out of a world. Like,
Right.
He creates a world and he just milks it for all it has. And
Yeah.
I'm a fan of his.
That's
Pan's
cool.
Labyrinth, case in point.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that too. It looks like, at the least, it looks like it's going to be just an awesome summer blockbuster.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As for what I'm looking forward to, this is again, it's a little different. I'm looking forward to the Emmy nominees.
Oh wow.
They're going to be coming out soon. I think Aaron Paul is actually going to make the announcement.
Nice.
And I'm just really, really hoping that Netflix makes a splash with House of Cards.
Oh, that'd be so cool.
Yeah, that's I'm really hopeful for that.
Deservedly so.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then a couple other things I'm looking forward to is I'm not really looking forward to this, but it made me think that I'm going to watch the original. But I had no idea that Spike Lee made an Old Boy remake.
I heard about that. Isn't Josh Brolin in it?
I want to say that's right. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I mean, when it comes to Spike Lee, honestly, I can take or leave him.
Yeah,
I mean,
I agree.
can't. I'm not really a big fan, but I just seeing that they actually went through with remaking Old Boy.
Yeah.
All it did is it made me want to go back and watch the original. I've only seen it once, and I mean that was several years ago.
Right.
But I need to see it again. I own it. I'm going to check that out, and then finally, the last thing I'm looking forward to is Europa Report.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I posted it on the blog for my Trailer Tuesday that it looks like it's going to be cool, really cool.
Yeah.
And I kind of teetered on whether or not I should check it out on iTunes or if I should wait until it's in the theater, because it looks like the visuals are going to be really, really well suited for a theater experience. But I think I've heard some feedback from like some other bloggers, particularly the Film Hipster at filmhipster.com and the Cinema Monster at thecinemamonster.com. They both said that it's really impressive and really cool, and it reminds them of, or it reminds Joe at the Cinema Monster, it reminds him of Sunshine and Moon,
Wow.
which are two just stellar.
That's
no
what
pun
it made me
intended.
think of when I saw the trailer.
Yeah.
It kind of made me think of Sunshine a little
Yeah,
bit. Just
and
the visual.
Sunshine is one of my favorite movies ever.
Yeah, same here.
So I'm looking forward to checking. I might actually bite the bullet and check it out this weekend on iTunes. It's available on iTunes right now.
Awesome.
Which is another thing that's kind of interesting. We've talked up theater experiences and everything, and I'm sitting here talking like, yeah, I'm gonna short sheet the movie theaters and watch this movie on demand or on iTunes. So
Yeah.
maybe I'll wait for the theater because like I said, it holds a special place in my heart, but it's also more convenient. So it's
Right. It's hard to argue against it sometimes.
It really is
The convenience.
yeah. And it sucks, but it's a way of life. But I don't know. I'll always love going to the theater.
Same here.
Yeah, I'm just
Awesome.
impatient.
Yeah. All right. Well, you want to go ahead and sign us out then?
Yeah. Well, this has been fun. Thanks for listening, guys. Once again, if you have memorable theater experiences, shoot us an email at ovpodcast, all one word, at gmail.com. Again, that's ovpodcast at gmail.com. Basically, write out a memorable experience of yours, something that made you fall in love with movies and at a movie theater, and we'll pick one or two of the best ones, and we'll read them on the podcast. And if you have any blogs or podcasts that you want to promote yourself, we'll give you a shout out if we pick yours. So be sure to get those in. We'll probably do that in 2 or 3 weeks, depending on if we get any submissions. But
Yeah.
so be sure to do that. And if you want to check out more of us, you can always subscribe to us on iTunes. Also, go ahead and shoot us a review if you want. Even if you like it or hate the podcast, let us know.
Yeah.
And then you can check out Tiny on Twitter at Obsessive Tiny. I'm Matt, and on on Twitter I'm Obsessive Viewer at Obsessive Viewer. You can also like the blog on Facebook at The Obsessive Viewer. And then also just check out the site, obsessiveviewer.com. We post content pretty regularly, and let everyone know.
All right.
All right. Well, thanks for listening, guys.
Thanks.